Hey guys, welcome back to Beast Quest with the next awesome special. Special number... Let's take a look real quick, shouldn't take too long. Special number 17, Tempra, the Time Stealer. So we're now on the 17th special, and this is probably another one of the greater ones in the list. Again, I'm not going to say where I fully rank this until I get to the ranking video, but this one is up there as well. So well, obviously it's going to be up there as well because it's time. You're doing with time travel, so that's going to be something there. But let's get through this. So like always, in-depth story analysis, then my overall thoughts on this epic adventure. So if you haven't already, make sure you've read this book before watching this review, otherwise unless you don't care. That being said though, let's get through the next awesome book. Tom was training some of Hartman's soldiers with a lap race, then later Eleanor was going to join. However, just as Eleanor set off, the soldiers froze. Adaro ordered our heroes to meet with him, as he explained only one beast was capable. But yeah, because the soldiers froze in time, and only one beast was capable of this power, Tempra, a beast that could travel through time. The only way our heroes had to defend themselves was to drink a vial of Tempra's blood, which Adaro basically luckily had on him. He luckily had this Tempra's blood somehow. So he gave it to Tom and Eleanor, and they drank it. Tom awoke to see his aunt yelling at him. Only she didn't look the same as he once knew her. Tom was wearing rags, and his aunt explained his uncle needed his help with his ironing. So he went out and saw the new Arenal rotted away from the sight of it. Anyways, he faced his uncle, who also yelled at him, and explained that Hugo was dead. Taladon has abandoned the family, and Jezrin now is the king of Avantia, and Maria yelled as the soldiers were coming. Okay, this seems interesting. Kinda reminds me of Series 7 where Malvel took over a kingdom, only it seems a bit better because you've got an altered timeline. Captain Hartman arrived to get the tax payment, which was 15 swords from Henry, but the old man only made 11, so as punishment Maria was going to be taken. Tom attempted to stop this, only to get his stuffing kicked out of him, which makes sense assuming this is an altered timeline. Tom shouldn't have his token powers. But yeah, Tom lost Maria, who was taken, and thanks to Tom's interference, the tax was increased to 20 swords. Henry told Tom he was crazy as Adaro. Tom asked where he could find Adaro, and despite another quarrel with Henry, Tom was on his way, hoping Adaro could help him. Despite the stories of Adaro being told he's a crazy old hermit. Kind of a nice Star Wars reference there. Tom rode on via horseback until he encountered the crazy old Adaro, who first attempted to blast Tom with his magic, but after some explaining, Adaro seemed to get a little sense. While he couldn't teleport him fully to the palace, he could at least get him to the city, and gave him some apples to sell to use as offerings to get through the city. And with that, the crazy old Adaro left. Tom made his way to the city, where he just managed to sneak in and see the horror of how Jezrin taught his troops, as a woman was taunted to death and given nothing for her family. Not taking this anymore, Tom attempted to stand up for the woman, only to get beaten by the soldier. Tom was saved by a mystery girl dropping a pot on the soldier's head, and after a bit of avoiding the guards, the two met, revealing it was Eleanor. She too had her memories intact, like Tom. They assumed it was because they drank Tempra's blood, which probably why Adaro saw it coming and gave them the blood in case they were Avantia's only hope to stop this altered timeline. Anyway, our heroes went to save Maria, who had been taken to the dungeons. When they got there, Tom could hear the screams of his aunt. Tom wanted to save her so badly, so he barged in there and attempted to rescue Maria, but Eleanor told him that this would ruin everything. So Eleanor made a plan and tricked some guards. However, this led to the two being separated, but Tom found his way to a sneak attack on Jezrin. However, the evil wizard had foreseen this and got Malvel as his apprentice in this timeline. This made Tom locked up and face Tempra finally, so he's locked up in a place where he has to face Tempra. Tom was pressed back until Eleanor arrived and saved Tom again, forcing Tempra back. Then our heroes ventured forth, making their way to the Gallery of Tombs, where they saw Jezrin and Malvel had wrecked the place in all the previous wars of the beasts. They went outside and met Storm, who helped them escape from the palace, but it seemed like they were being followed. Tom and Eleanor were saved by Adaro, who magicked them invisible. By not being able to see their enemies, the soldiers blabbed about a hidden rebellion. Later, Tom was thinking of a way to fix this, which led to Adaro explaining that in this altered timeline, Malvel was once his apprentice, but he was seduced by the dark side by Jezrin. Hence Star Wars reference again. Anyway, this led to Tom thinking of why did Tempra do this. He assumed it was because of a promise. It was a promise he made millions of souls. So Tom thought if he could face Tempra again, he could convince her to stop this. No, because Tempra's a girl. This led to Adaro giving Tom his old sword back, which he had kept, waiting for a warrior to stand up against Jezrin. So that's pretty cool. Our heroes used Adaro's magic of invisibility to sneak back into the city undetected until they spotted Hartman was planning to execute traitors to Jezrin. Tempra was summoned, ready to devour this traitor, who was revealed to be Taladon, which, of course, you can imagine Tom was very shocked. Tom entered rage mode and raced to rescue, saving his dad, revealing himself to the crowd. This caused the soldiers to move in. Eleanor, along with the hidden rebels, began their attack, and Tom and Taladon reunited, only to be interrupted by Malvel, who got into a wizard's duel with his old master Adaro, while Tom was going to stop Tempra. But Jezrin wasn't going to allow Tom to win again, so they got into a fight, leading to Tom into a position where he was held high by Jezrin's magic. Tom was saved via horse tackle, and while Tom fell, and it led to a duel with Taladon and Jezrin. Sadly, Jezrin won. It seems while in the battle, it seems he's killed Taladon, while Tom faced Tempra. At first, Tempra tried to make him lose his memories, but Tom's will was too strong, and with his inner strength, and possibly due to a rage boost from his father's recent death, he sliced off Tempra's memory suckers, forcing her to revert everything. Forcing her to revert everything, otherwise he'd finish her off. I should also mention Eleanor in this timeline is also assumed dead from Tom, because like they say it a bit like after Taladon's left later in this timeline Eleanor died. Anyway, Tempra activated the bright light and boom. Tom awoke. Tempra had taken him back to the day of Hugo's coronation day. Tom attempted to stop Jezrin from killing Hugo and taking the Empire. After observing the Hugo at the dining table and some wine being poured, Tom assumed that a hooded guest in the cloak was Jezrin, and that figure had poisoned the wine. Tom tossed the wine out of Hugo's hand, telling him that it was poisoned, which it was revealed to be. Jezrin tried to run, but was stopped by Taladon, Tom, and Adaro, and Tom leapt back through Tempra's portal, now restoring the timeline. He awoke to see Hartman give him a hand. He was back at the training race, but both he and Eleanor were never more happy to see the sight once again. Okay, guys, that's my analysis portion of Tempra. Hopefully it wasn't too bad. A few scuffles here and there, but nothing too major. But I do like this. We've never had a base like this who can control time. I think maybe if they put it off because they're trying to think of a good story, they did it really well with Tempra, like the altered timeline story, like you have references, it has that Wizard of Oz type of formula where the characters are in different positions that you not normally expect them to be. We have Adaro as a crazy old hermit, Eleanor as a maid, Malvel as Jezrin's apprentice, Captain Hartman as his cruel soldier. So you have lots of play there to go off with. And then, we have a few Star Wars references in there as well. So it is a very fascinating book, and that's why I rank it so high as I do. But yeah, so let's get on to the characters. This is more, once again, a Tom story, as he's trying to find himself and restore the timeline. It's only because of Adaro giving our heroes the blood that, you're able to beat this beast. So if this beast was ever in Battle of the Beast tournament, we would have to make sure the opponent beast drank Tempra's blood, otherwise it would be no battle at all, because Tempra would just time travel and you have no memory. Anyway though, so Tom is the main character, like I said, through and through. He's going to, on this quest to restore the timeline, as he tries to, despite the fact he's coming across all these altered versions of his family. He's still willing to try and save them, from Uncle Henry to Aunt Maria, and then he goes to Adaro, who he still wants him to try and help him out despite his craziness. Even though they're different versions, he still wants them to help him restore the timeline. The only one who doesn't is Eleanor, and that's because she drank the blood. Then Captain Hartman, etc. So every one of these encounters, he's like upset, saddened, and when it comes to his personal family members, he's like more enraged because he doesn't see him die, obviously. But to be fair, even if they restored the timeline, it wouldn't matter if they're deaths. Take Eleanor's death, for example, or Taladon's. It doesn't matter because, like, even if they die, you restore the timeline, so it's fine. None of that would have happened. So it really wouldn't matter when you think about it. But that's the thing with time travel; it's a kind of hard thing to grasp. But that's an time travel is hard to grasp, and I think the story took it on a simple, safe approach as they could with it. So I'm sure there are plot holes in this book, but they weren't. I couldn't spot any time traveling plot holes on my end. But yeah, like I said, you can see why Tom's book. It's like he's trying to get everyone together to rise up against Jezrin, and it is nice to have Jezrin as a villain. For once, so that's cool. Anyway, moving on to Eleanor. Eleanor, she doesn't get much to do, but she does save Tom's hide twice, like with the against Tempra in the cell and in the courtyard brawl or whatever, and then she just helps keep Tom's calm down, like not make him rush off to save his aunt or anything. Like you need to take off the bigger picture here. So there is that in play. So she doesn't get much to do, but she does have her moments to shine, like in previous books. Now, in this book, there are two henchmen. I see more than one, and of course you may know who they are. First is Hartman, who is the captain of the guard, and I put him on this list because, yeah, Malvel is more or less the henchman, but Hartman got more to do, while Malvel was just there at the finale. Like he was there at the beginning. He ordered the attacks. He took his mum away. He was going to order an execution on Taladon, and he just followed the orders pretty well. So Harkman was pretty much a henchman on the lines of a soldier, like a big, powerful general leading the charge. As for Malvel, who we'll get into next, it is interesting to see Malvel as a henchman because I never really thought we would see the first major villain of Beast Quest resort to a lackey, but that's what seems to be the case here. Because in this altered timeline, like Malvel has been manipulated by Jezrin to work for him, which I guess for Jezrin's part, it is a good choice because Malvel is one of the better villains and has more accomplishments than other ones. So that is very impressive on Jezrin's part. So even though Malvel doesn't get much to do, he does get an epic wizard's duel with Adaro, so that's something there. Jezrin himself, this is probably, I find it funny that most of these specials are improvements to many of the villains' plans. For example, Kensa with Yakarix, with the ice, the endless winter. Sanpeyo's best plan was Skolo, I think. That seemed very interesting there before anything else. That's just my personal opinion. And then we have Tempra with the time travel. Like, how can you go wrong with time travel? Like, that's a great creative plan there to stop your hero. The only problem is he didn't see coming that Adro had some blood so that he could give it to the heroes to drink. Yeah. So obviously Jezrin must have had some blood from his own to keep himself at bay so that he could have his memories intact. But yeah, seeing Jezrin just sit there and gloat is kind of cliche, but the fact that he's managed to accomplish this much in his plan is saying something, so there's that. And I think it kind of boosts his image up a little. Maybe more, it boosts his image, it boosts his character up a bit, so there's that for you. Moving on to the beast itself, Tempra. Now, this is an interesting one because Tempra is a time-traveling beast, and she doesn't just have that ability, she also has these tentacles where she can suck memories away, and then when she beats somebody, they've lost their soul and it feeds her powers. So that's how she wins her fights. So when she kills somebody, the ghostly spirit goes out and it goes into her body, so she can absorb their energy and grow in strength and power. But yes, and when it comes to design, she's more of a monstrous Cthulhu type thing. Like, she's got this octopus-like tentacles, and she's got this big eye. No, it's not real. I don't know if it's based off anything, but I can see ideas in there. But I do like it because it fits with the whole like way of time kind of thing. Like, it's a creature you can't recognize. It's a time stealer. So I think that divide a little that goes on a few bit of creativity there. So when it comes to Tempra herself, though, she doesn't really do much because I don't think she really needs to. Because the reason why the story wants to keep the beast off, because if they get to the beast, then the timeline is over, and the writers, I don't think, don't want the story to end so quickly. So they keep Tempra as back as much as they can, but they still want to keep that beast action in there. So they show her as a torturing device, and also it fits to the promise that Jasmine made to her about 1,000,000 souls in exchange for this altered timeline. But once she gets her tentacles cut off and you actually fight the beast, and note the fact that Tom gets an inner strength boost and a rage boost from all that's happened, she's basically reduced to a screaming girl, like, don't kill me please. And the only way Tom won't kill her is like, if you take me back in time to fix all this, and that's basically what Tempra does. Because she doesn't want to die. I feel like she's not really an evil beast at all, more like a good beast. Yeah, sucking souls is a bad thing, but she only does that to what she needs to do to survive, I'm guessing. Or maybe just growing strength, it's hard to say. So she's not really evil in my mind. Anyway, though, like I said, though, Tempra wasn't really killed, which is something most beasts aren't. Most beasts are killed, but this one wasn't. This one was spared because, like, to revert the timeline. And I guess, out of respect for what Tempra did, he let her go. So that's something, and I don't think Jasmine's going to try that plan again, considering he knows it failed. But yeah, so that's interesting. And that's my overall thoughts on Tempra, the Time Stealer. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. If you did, you know what to do. Smash the like button, subscribe, that good stuff. Hit the notification bell right corner down below so you can stay in tune for LEGO DC Super Friends custom builds and Beast Quests and other stuff on the channel. And of course, if you're wondering why I'm talking a bit quieter, it is night time for me, so I want to be quiet for the family. That'll be all from me though. I'll see you guys in the next video where I'll be reviewing the next special, which I have right here, Falcor the Coiled Terror. And just checking my notes, that is the right special. But I'm pretty sure it is because I put them on shelf order. Yes, Special 18 is Falcor the Coiled Terror. So stay tuned for that one. But yeah, that'll be all from me. I'll see you guys in more videos coming your way. The upcoming Q&A is coming up, so if you haven't already, make sure to put your questions in for the upcoming Q&A going on July 26th. But that'll be all from me. I'll see you guys for more videos coming your way. Till next time, like always, peace.